Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jack, this is JTH Books, and it is time for the very late January wrap-up. Now I'm really sorry this is a bit late. I just haven't been well. I have not been well. Sort of end of January, February hit. I've just been unwell and I'm still not right now. If you've been around here for a while, I had this issue before. I've had it many times. It's back again. It's not fun at all. And this is the first time I've got out of bed in like 2 weeks, honestly. I've just been very unwell. But you don't want to hear about that. You're here to hear about books, not me feeling sorry for myself. But January was an absolutely fantastic reading month for me. February, spoiler, it's not. But January really was. I managed to read a grand total of 10 books, friends. 10 books in January. And so let's just talk about them. Side note, I read some of these a long time ago now. Won't remember a thing about them. But I'm going to try. So first up, the first book of the year, which, as you know, last year I read Here We Go Again by Ukachuru and Zalu. One of my favourites of the year. Well, my favourite of the year. First book of the year. Absolutely love that. 5 stars. And I wanted to try that again. I at least wanted a 5-star read for the first book of the year. Friends. We got it. So first up I read A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. Now this is a big, chunky, high epic fantasy. It was supposed to be included in a vlog that I was doing last year and got too sick to finish. And I was also going to do a vlog this year of 5 books, 5 stars on my week off, which is now, which I haven't done because I haven't been well. Me and vlogs are cursed. Anyway, back to this book. Yeah, do you know what? It really was an absolute 5-star read for me. This is again another one where we follow 4 perspectives, sort of trying to fight the dragons that come back. I know in the first one I had a little bit of issue with the end where I thought like the dragon was rushed and there wasn't enough dragon to have that sort of momentum feeling, but I think this one made up for it. This one you have sort of dragons throughout, and you get the battles and you get the thing, you get the battles and you get the losses, and I just thought it was brilliant. I loved every perspective, and there was a perspective of like an older lesbian couple, and I really loved that one. Everyone I would get to and I'd be like, get me back to the other one. Then I'd get into this one. I'd be like, get me back to that one. Oh, you know, it's such a treat when you love every perspective. And I really can't remember what it's about though, which is terrible. But basically, it's all these people. It's the dragons coming back. It's a bit, you know, a bit like the first one. But they think it's going to be the nameless one. But of course, we know it's not. We know he comes back further on down the line. But it's just, it was brilliant. I have seen people say it's very world building at the beginning. I didn't actually find that, or maybe I'm just so into this world that it doesn't bother me. But it's a stellar book for me. I just absolutely loved it. I loved it. I know that I didn't really explain much, but I loved it. It's 5 stars, okay? First book of the year again, 5 stars. Then I read my non-fiction for the month, which was Fire Island, Love, Loss and Liberation in an American Paradise by Jack Bartlett. Now this is basically a look at how Fire Island came to be what it is today, and it's the history of the place and how it found its roots in gay culture and how it was sort of nearly lost in the AIDS epidemic, and what it means to found a queer utopia and sort of lose it. It was really fascinating. It is again one of my favourite kind of non-fictions where it has personal stories and the author's experience of going there and experiencing it, and also it has histories of sort of specific people who visited the place, like authors. James Baldwin went to write there, and all these authors and poets and actors went there, and just to learn of its different stages of its the islands live was really, really fascinating. I really, really enjoyed this one. I love non-fiction. I never thought I'd say that, but I really, really do. It was a solid, like, 4-star for me. Then I read Wandering Souls by Cecile Pinn, which is out on the 2nd of March. I read this because the author was going to be speaking at the 4th Estate event I was going to, and I wanted to know what the book was about. And, God, I have to say, really, really enjoyed this one. It absolutely made me cry. In this, we follow a family who are fleeing their country and essentially making their way to America, but 3 siblings go, and then the rest of the family follows, but the rest of the family boat doesn't make it, and it's left with 3 siblings, and they actually end up in Britain, and it just follows their lives and what it means to be an immigrant. And it's very, it's set in the past. It's very timely, as we all know. And occasionally you get the perspective from sort of the ghost of their brother who didn't make it. Oh, it was really, really brilliant. I had to shed a few tears. I did have to shed a few tears. It's really short and it's sharp, and it does cover decades. I will say that. It's like, even though it's a short book, it does sort of cover decades of their life, but the pacing never felt off to me, or the plotting never felt off. It was a really solid read for me. It was definitely like, I think I gave it like a 4.75 on StoryGraph. I wonder why I didn't give it 5, but who knows? It was so long ago, I can't remember. But, oh yeah, it packs an emotional punch, this one. And I'm really glad I read it. It's out 2nd of March. Next up, I read Brutes by Diz Tate, which is actually out now. Yeah, it came out in February. It came out at the beginning of February, I do believe. Now, this is a very hard one to explain. It's sort of about this really small, sort of swampy town in Florida, that this gang of girls that almost act as one. They just watch everything that goes on in this town, and one of the local preacher's daughter goes missing, and you get the sense that they know where she's gone, you know, even though the town is frantically searching for her. And you also get to see the perspective of their lives when they're not sort of as one anymore. They've sort of moved away, or they don't keep in contact with each other. And this, when I was first, like the first, say 3/4, I thought, oh, this is 5 stars for sure. It is so brilliantly written. It's so lyrical. It just flows off the page, and you get the sense of these girls, that you get the sense that they're really tight-knit, that you can feel it. You can feel that there is one. You can feel that they're, even though you're reading from their perspective, you still don't get it all. And it's such an interesting perspective to read from. And I was really intrigued to see how this author was going to end it. And that, for me, is where it fell off a little bit. The ending, I just wish it ended differently. It would have been proper 5 stars, but it just got strange, and I didn't see it coming, and there was sort of no hint of it. And oh yeah, the ending did let it down for me, I have to say. It still makes no sense to me now. It still makes absolutely no sense to me now. But again, it could have been so good. It is so electric for so long, and then it just fizzles out, and I was so disappointed. But that's not saying it's a bad book. The first 3/4 are absolutely brilliant, but I just wish it had gone all the way. I just wish it had gone all the way. There's so much intrigue from it, but intrigue doesn't always work. But this is out now. If you are sort of, I feel like a lot of people would like the ending. I don't know. Actually, I know my friend didn't, but who knows? Maybe read it. If you read it, let me know if you found the ending good or bad. Next, I read Mummy by Jessica George. Now, this follows Maddie, who is sort of the only member of her family that looks after her dad, who's got Parkinson's, and you can really feel the pressure on her shoulders. And then her mum comes back, and she moves out and sort of starts life on her own and starts to date and starts to do all this stuff. And I have heard people say that the main character of this is unlikable, and I didn't get that at all. I really, really enjoyed Maddie's perspective. I could have easily spent another 500 pages reading about Maddie's life. I just found her so engaging and so charming and so real. It was like a friend telling me a story. I think that's writing like that should never be underestimated, because you just think, oh, this person isn't real. They're not my friend. And they're not going to text me in a minute being like, oh, here's an update. You know, and I think sometimes writing like that goes a bit unnoticed, but just to follow Maddie's trials and tribulations with it, I just really, really enjoyed it. I just wanted her to succeed. It's like, yeah, okay, it's like, it's just nice to enjoy a character, enjoy their journey. Sometimes with a book, everything is so up and down. You're like, oh, you know, shut up, John. I just picked a random name there. You know, I never got that with Maddie. Like I said, I could have just spent so long in her company. And this one is out, I think it's out in the US now, but it's out 16th of February in the UK. So I just really enjoyed it. Thank you so much to Hodder for the copy. It took me by surprise, because I had read people saying no, and I thought, oh no. But yeah, totally enamoured with this book. Totally, totally enamoured. Then I read If I Survive You by Jonathan Escoffery. Again, I wanted to read this before I went to the 4th State Live event. And sort of this is a collection of short stories, I guess, that do interlink. It's almost like it's a family and you get each of their stories. And this wasn't my favourite of the month, I have to be honest. There were some short stories. There was one in there that I can't really remember even how it fit. But I absolutely loved it. It was about crab fishing, I think. Yeah, it was. I swear it was. I always like to know what it's called. Splashdown? Splashdown. That one absolutely nailed me. It is... The writing's good. It became... I just don't know if I cared all that much, which sounds a bit harsh, doesn't it? But maybe if it was a full-length novel, I would have. I don't know. But there was just something about it that they didn't connect with me, which is often the case with if you have short stories. Some work, some don't. If they all work, then that's a brilliant collection. But for me, there was just something missing from it. Next up, I read... I'll show you the side, shall I? 6 Times We Almost Kissed and One Time We Did by Tess Sharp. Now, this follows 2 girls whose name I cannot remember. Penny and Tate, who sort of have a love-hate relationship. They pretend not to like each other. Everyone around them can see that they actually do. And their mums are best friends, and they move in together. And then... you know, romance happens. You know, you can get that from the title. But what I did like about this one is it wasn't just about the romance. It dealt with grief. I mean, I think it was Penny had lost her father, and she was still dealing with that, and her mum was still dealing with that. And I thought it was done really delicately and really nicely, but really honestly, and just how it can affect families and family dynamics. And so I really enjoyed that part. I enjoyed the romance. I thought it's a really tricky thing, because it can get a bit exasperating, can't it, when you know they're going to end up together, you know, they like each other, but they're sort of like, oh, I hate them, I don't want to be near them. That can be exhausting as a reader. You just think, just get on with it. But this had enough sweet moments in it, and enough real moments that when they were sort of being like, no, I don't like, you could get past it. So I just think this is a really, really solid sapphic YA book that I'm really pleased I read. It's out now, and I have to thank Team BKMIK for my copy. Yeah, I think it's only maybe the first one I read of the year, so it was a good start, and I'm pleased. Next, I read the book that you chose me to do. Now, I have to say as well, side note, have a lot of them, didn't we? I put a little poll up on the YouTube community section thing, and I'm going to do a vlog for the book you choose. So by the middle of the month, I'll count how many, it is in each vote, and I will do like a one-day vlog, just starting the book, seeing if I like it, see how we get on, see if I can finish it in a day. We probably know it's not going to happen. But I didn't do it with this one. I'm hoping to do it. I've got to do it with the February stories, haven't I? Because otherwise I should just give up this YouTube thing. But yeah, so that's a side note. That hopefully they're going to come. So keep voting for them, and we'll see how we go. But this was Convenient Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. This is the book you chose. I loved Earthlings. I loved their short story collection, Life Ceremony, and I really enjoyed this one too. This is very much people either love it or they don't like it. And on the back, it's described as gloriously nutty, and I think that's unfair. I don't think this character is nutty at all. They are just who they are. They work in a convenience store. They don't really want anything out of their life. They are a convenience store worker. And just to say it's nutty, I don't think is even fair. I think this is just a book that she is who she is. She has no interest in getting married or being with anyone, or her whole life is to work at the convenience store. She works as much as she can. She eats so she can work. She sleeps so she can be refreshed for work. And I just thought the character had enough heart and depth and realness to it that it didn't make her strange or nutty. It's just I just thought it was just a bit bang on, really. I just think Sayaka Murata writes those kind of characters that, yeah, they're a little out there, but they're real enough, and they're vibrant enough that you don't feel like laughing at them. You just accept them, and they are who they are. And I really enjoyed it. I just thought, yeah, you do you, girl. That's what I thought. That's what I thought when I finished. I thought, yeah, you do you, girl. You live the life you want. So yeah, thanks for voting for this one. I enjoyed it. Good start to the year. Well done, friends. You did a good job. Next, I read some historical fiction, which was The Disenchantment by Celia Bell. Now, this is all about two women who are having an affair in 17th century Paris, and it's really centered around the time of when all the poisons were about, when when all these women were bumping off their husbands by poisoning them, and they sort of weren't getting caught. And this very much centres in that. It follows, I can't remember her name, Marie Catherine, who is having this affair, but who also doesn't really have much to do with her husband. She very much thinks of Victoria, who takes up most of her heart and her mind. And when they have a bit of an argument, Victory bumps her husband off, and you follow on from there. And I didn't expect this to be so much about the poisons. I didn't expect it to be all about sort of the history of the poisons and the what it was like in those times when you didn't know if someone was trying to poison. If someone had enough of you and they were going to bump you for poison. I didn't know about that, but it was really, really interesting. I like how detailed it is. I like you got different perspectives of the police officer and the painter who's sort of painting her portrait and gets dragged into it. I found all those really interesting, and the connection they all had. It really took me by surprise. I thought it was going to be a bit of a slog, to be honest, but it wasn't. I really, really enjoyed it. This is out in February the 2nd. Is that true? Who knows? Yeah, it is. It's out now. If you're into some sapphic historical fiction, I'd give this one a go. Actually, I read Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. Now this has come highly recommended to me. People absolutely love this book. And when I was reading this is sort of when I started to get ill, so it might not have had a fair shot because I did struggle. In this you follow Yadriel, who has summoned a ghost of sort of the high school meanie, I guess, trying to prove to his community that he can do it, and because he's trans he deserves to do it, which absolutely true. I loved all that, and I loved sort of learning about the Day of the Dead and the Offenders and all the... I loved all that. I absolutely loved all that. For me, it was just... And I like the way they spoke like teenagers. Like they had that sort of teenage banter, like him and his cousin Maritza. I really enjoyed that. It was just this... It's not that I'm against insta-love, which you often get in YAs, because sometimes it really works for me. I'm like, oh yeah, I can feel it. Yep, they're in love. I get it. And most queer people do fall in love quite quickly. But for me, like, it felt more like a friendship. It just felt more like a friendship to me. And I don't want to spoil the ending, but the ending, if there was like a second one with how it ended and then they fell in love, I thought I would get it. I would absolutely get it. But it just, that connection in that way wasn't there. If it was written as a friendship, I would have absolutely believed it. But just that. But like I said, I did get ill. So maybe this book didn't get a fair chance. But I have to be honest and just say, it just didn't quite work for me. There was so much I didn't enjoy about it, but overall, it didn't. Okay. Please don't shout at me or get angry at me. I would have loved to have loved it, but I liked it. It's just like, yeah. See, not love, like. So that was it. I don't think that was a very good wrap up, but I'm not feeling great, so we just try and do what we can, don't we? We're not feeling well. 10 books. I really wish it would carry on like this for February, but it absolutely has not. Let me know if you've read any of them, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. You can tell me nicely, because we can have conversations, but we don't want to shout at Jack. Yeah, let me know if you've read any of them, if you want to read any of them. Let me know if you enjoyed them, or you didn't. Let me know if you want the vlog, like if you want that daily vlog thing, just be like, yeah, Jack, sounds good. If you don't, just don't tell me, because I'll cry, because I'm very fragile. Feel free to like and subscribe. You probably won't. It's fair enough. I want to get better at this, but I don't know how. That's tangent. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'm going to speak to you all really, really soon.